Hello there, one and all, and welcome to episode 287 of Love at First Scent with me, Persolaise, coming to you live from YouTube, the third and final of the live episodes that I've broadcast today. And by the way, if all goes well, there should be a couple more videos coming your way tomorrow, but I will confirm that tomorrow. But anyway, if you're watching the recording, none of this means anything to you. And we've left the kind of the best for last, because we're going to be talking about this, and I will explain what it is in a moment. Mystery Forms gets the first comment. Fascinating, says Rachel. Fractastico says hi, and Eric says, in all of my vintage hunts, Dior Homme is the hardest line to keep straight for me. I don't blame you. Okay, so for the next few moments, we're just going to go down memory lane, because I have got for you here a bottle of the original 2008 version of Dior Homme Sport. And Eric, I'm not surprised that you say it's difficult for you to keep the line straight, because I have actually lost track of how many Dior Homme Sports there are now. The latest one we got actually very, very recently, didn't we? And I'm sure I reviewed it. Nothing has come close to the original one for me. And I first smelt it when it came out, I think within a few weeks of when it was out, at the large branch of Sephora in Nice. I mean, if any of you know Nice, you've got the Galerie Lafayette, you sort of got the big square, and then there's the massive Sephora. And it was it had the advertising campaign that was fronted by Jude Law. And I remember I was already a big fan of the original Dior Homme, and I remember smelling it and thinking, oh, wow, this is really great. This is like a genuinely fantastic but interesting summery scent, because it's kind of like got a ginger grapefruit thing happening, but it's got a lot more to it as well. And it was just an immediate buy. Little did I know, because I did not know as much as I do now about those sorts of things, that if you really, really fall in love with a scent, you need to have a backup bottle of it. And I didn't have a backup bottle of that one. I still have the original bottle, but there is nothing left in it. And because I use my perfumes quite slowly, it came to the point where I finished that one, and I thought, oh, I quite like this one. I've used it a lot. I should buy another one. And it was gone, and it was replaced. And I know that this comes as a surprise to a lot of people. I don't do a huge amount of vintage perfume hunting. I think mainly because it costs a lot of money, as a lot of you will know. If you want to go out there stocking up your perfume stash with lots and lots of vintage beauties, you need to have a healthy bank account. And then also you start getting into the business of, can I trust that it's a vintage, that it's a good one, that it's in good quality, etc., in good condition. But having smelt the current version of this, I really thought that, no, I do want to fill this gap in my collection. And I thought, let me go online, let me see what's available. And as somebody said in another video, I thought, let's just go big or go home. Let's see if I can find 100 mils and then just use it very, very carefully, very sparingly, so that I don't need to buy another one. And I found one. I got very lucky. I found one at a price that I was willing to pay, let's say. And I have worn it a few times, not very many times, as you can see, because I do want to be careful with it. Lagondam says, did you make it to Aix-en-Provence this year, Persolaise? No, I didn't, and I never have been. I'm very, very wary of going to such exhibitions. Maybe one day I will go. I gather it was good, but anyway. So let's have a spray, and after this video finishes, Madame Persolaise and I are going for a walk, and I am going to wear this because it's that kind of day here. Now, I've just seen somebody, who was it, saying, I don't know why a lot of people like this perfume. It's not that great to me. Well, I mean, in the end, it comes down to personal preference and personal taste, right? And if you don't particularly like it, then that's okay. But a lot of us did fall in love with this one. Is it more expensive than Aventus? Says Woozy. As in what to buy? No, no. I didn't pay anywhere near that sort of money. Gaza says there are thousands of fantastic and creative fragrances. Life's too short to worry about discontinued lines. Yes, I think that's one of the things. I kind of like to keep seeing what else is coming out. But there are a few that I thought, no, I need to have them in their original forms in my collection. So I managed to hunt down an original Fahrenheit. I managed to hunt down an original Cool Water. That's really good. An original Fahrenheit is really great as well. I imagine they'll have to drag you out of Aix-en if you go, says Lagondam. I don't know. I don't think they would have to drag me out. I think I'd probably have had enough after about half an hour. But anyway, enough on that particular tangent. Fragtastico says the smile reveals the good memories you have attached to the original. I don't even know if I have specific memories. I mean, yes, we were on holiday. We were on holiday in a beautiful part of the world. But I think it's just, it's funny. It's funny to think, because 2008 is not really that long ago in the grand scheme of things, and yet the world feels like it was a very, very, very different place in 2008. In terms of the perfume world, yes, it was a very different place, but just in other senses, socio-politically, if you look at the UK, there was sort of the halcyon pre-Brexit days, obviously pre-pandemic. The world is not in an especially happy place at the moment, and 2008 feels like this fantastic, idyllic, heavenly time, even though it probably didn't feel like it then. But just sticking specifically to how the perfume world has changed, I guess looking back now, the first decade of this century, now I think we can see was a moment when certain elements of the mainstream did genuinely try to play with some of the more established codes that were out there. So Dior being a perfect example. The original Dior Homme, composed by Olivier Polge, obviously, as you know, came out early in the century and was just this genius piece of work that not only was marketed as a masculine, but actually had homme in the name, but yet was this really, really interesting, gender fluid, brave, bold composition that played with baked fruits and cinnamon and iris and aldehydes and what have you. London was amazing in 2008, says Fractastico. I wonder what was it particularly about it. And then came Dior Homme Sport. Now we'd had sport fragrances before, we'd had light fragrances, all of these sorts of things. But this genuinely tried to do something different with the genre. So it didn't play the obvious citrus card. It didn't play the obvious sort of woody aromatic card. Out came the ginger. Out came this kind of really, really gentle, noticeable, but not overdone cologne-like note. It was a genuine flanker, back it takes us back to a time when flankers actually did hark back to the original. So it's a flanker in the sense that it's got that iris note in there, it's got that lavendery note in there, but it reframes them, does something different with them. And it just worked as a sport fragrance, whatever the heck that means. I suppose it means, energetic, zesty, outdoorsy, sunny. It worked, but it had brains. Not that you don't have brains if you are into sports, but you know what I mean. It wasn't just a cardboard cutout generic thing. Whereas compare it to Dior Homme Sport now, and their DNA is completely different. They represent an entirely different mindset and an entirely different approach to perfume creation, and it's astonishing how in a relatively short space of time that has changed. Vetty Wearer says, great fragrance, but for me, 2012 is the best. Yeah, well, there are so many, right? That's just for me. So to be clear, I'm not saying it is the best one. No, well, ultimately it comes down to our subjective views, doesn't it? Rachel says, yes, gender fluid is a better way to say it. These original formulations anyone can wear. Yeah, I think so. Angelica says, I will always have a soft spot for fragrances released in the early to mid-aughts. They just smelt different and had a flair that can't be found these days. Well, certainly from the mainstream, right? You could still expect, you genuinely could expect to get interesting things from the mainstream. Nowadays, from the mainstream, I think we always need to keep an open mind, but interesting things are a surprise, aren't they? You smell one thing and you roll your eyes and your heart sinks and you think, okay, here we go again. The nice surprises do come along, but they're nowhere near as frequent as they used to be. Original Dior Homme was the most glorious surprise. Dior Homme Sport was great. But, and then the next masculine pillar was the next masculine pillar. No, then we had Higher, didn't we? Which, again, I had a soft spot for. I'm pretty sure Higher came after Dior Homme, didn't it? But, of course, the most recent pillar is Sauvage, for which I have no time whatsoever. It'll be very, very interesting to see what Francis Kirkjian does with it. And I wonder what he makes of all of these. It would be interesting to ask him. Had to hide Dior Homme Parfum from the boyfriend, says Jenny. Too hot here for that. I guess this would be good for this weather. Yes, if you can find it. Is the new sport even powdery at all, says VBS221. No. Or like Dior Homme 2020. It's much more generic. It's much more. And thank you for saying powdery, because it does. This 2012 version that you're talking about, I wonder. Oh, Higher was before Dior Homme, says Mateusz. Was it? Yeah, yes, because Higher was late 90s, actually. You're right. Sorry, this 2012 version, I need to kind of check out what it is, because is it that markedly different from the 2008? But yeah, I will be wearing it now. So trip down memory lane. If you're out and about somewhere and you find, I think either the 2008 or the 2012 version, one of the giveaways is that the word sport is written on these older bottles in a font that doesn't have serifs. Whereas I think then there came the switch where both the Dior Homme and the Sport had serifs. And I'm sure it's got all of the allergens and things listed, because yeah, but back then we were already doing that. But yes, a sad loss, but at least it's back in my collection, and now I'm not going to let it go. Dior made a pact with the devil for Sauvage because everybody and their mums likes it. Yeah, well, yes. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you stuck around for all 3 lives, thank you very much for doing that. All being well, I will be back tomorrow with a video in which I may require a little bit of audience participation, not just in the chat, but I will let you know on social media if that is happening. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Be good and go and find your favorite zingy, effervescent, citrusy scent and spray it now. Take care. Bye.